Good afternoon. Welcome to OptionsTender. It's Thursday, March 27th, 2025. Welcome to our daily analysis. I know I'm starting off with a weird point here, but we'll get over to the regular analysis in just a minute. I first wanted to explain we're in a corrective phase. So corrections happen many different ways, but they pretty much, for the most part, all resolve in the same way. Okay, you have your A, your B, all messy stuff, and then you have your C. Boom. You have your A, B, a deep retracement, some messy stuff. Boom. All right, same here. Your A, your lower B. I'm not saying that that's happening right now. As a matter of fact, I don't think that's happening. And then boom, 1, 2, 3 large candles. All right, same thing. This is a much larger one, but A, B, the flat pattern, brings you down to deep retracements. Boom. All right, the whole point of this is what we're doing right now. Okay, so first of all, we're doing this intraday about 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you want to get these videos intraday, consider becoming a YouTube member. All right, that's 99 cents. It's just supporting the channel. That's all. YouTube doesn't really pay out a whole lot until you get really big. And so this is a great way to support the channel and get some good information out here. So I appreciate all of you that have been subscribing, and as well as the individual analysis for $4.99 a month. So you can get those options, expected moves, individual analysis stocks, and things like that. So we did cannabis. Don't forget, we are looking for a bull market in cannabis. I'm going to post that video up top. So make sure you check that out. This historic buy, long term, plus it pays a dividend. All right. You get paid while you wait. Here we go. So we have SPX. Now what's happening? We had our initial move down here into support. We got some shenanigans. We're breaking out of that. Now, the question is this move over? Well, all we did was just back test. We closed that gap here from Monday. We're holding on to support. I really think that's the low here. Okay. Now, anything could happen. We could go lower and go back into these areas here, but I think this was all resolved already, and we're closing this gap to go higher, to close some higher gaps. Okay, so I think this is going to be like those similar situations where we probably have 3 green candles after this before we get into our reversal. So our timing, I told you we're running out of time. If price does break down, then we have a whole different timing scenario that we're looking for, okay? Then we're wrong on our timing. But if we get this low here, this holds, and we have a bullish Friday, you can expect follow through into Monday and possibly even into a Tuesday, turnaround Tuesday reversal candle or so, and then we can continue our descent lower. So not much time left for the market to correct if our timing is correct. All right, so at this point, let's look at all of our indicators like we do each and every day. There's 2 things that I changed. I brought in my moving averages so I can keep this separate from the OptionsTender setup so we can see them much clearer, and it'll be more precise on this analysis, okay? And then the second thing is when we get to the OptionsTender setup, I changed that RSI to a more sensitive 5. And you can copy this if you'd like. I just changed it so it's a little bit more sensitive to our weekly analysis for the daily time frame. Okay, I don't know if that makes sense, but I'll explain a little bit more later. Okay, so first off, our moving averages. All right, broke down, got into the support area, rejected off of the 200 moving average, and we're right at that 8 EMA and the 20 moving average. Okay, we're holding right at the spot here, so we need to get back above, hold on to it, and continue higher. We're at a neutral position. But in my opinion, we're at really good support here. And if we see some bullish momentum, tomorrow's going to say it all. We either have a free Friday where we have a nice big move, or we start heading lower. And that's going to be a big tell on what's happening next, okay? So if we move lower, then I suspect we'll hold a low somewhere in this box. But then it's going to take a lot more time for us to get to higher prices. And the snapback will probably lead us into another couple weeks, perhaps, okay? And if we continue to move higher from here, there'll probably be a nice snap of a 3 green day move with maybe Tuesday or so, early next week to mid next week, getting a reversal candle before heading lower. All right. So I do suspect that our targets are about 5,900. I think that's the lower end of the target, and that's when we'll start layering in our short positions to the downside out with further expirations, okay? Now, going to the McClellan Oscillator. Same thing. Nothing's changed from yesterday. We're a little bit below the zero line, but we're at the neutral point still. I think this is just consolidation, and we move to the overbought territory. We still haven't cycled to the overbought. It is very typical. It doesn't always, if you're trending, it doesn't always have to go from overbought to oversold. But in this situation, we've already become overbought, oversold, and now we're looking to fully cycle through, as a matter of fact, to get deeply overbought here before reversing. Options tender setup. And if you're new here, this is a MACD RSI where we changed our daily right here, the 5. It's I think it's automatically set at as a 6. So we change it to 5, so it's 5 days in your week. And that makes it just a little bit more sensitive. And then we have the slow stoke. Okay, so looking at the MACD, I emphasize we had a bullish crossover. Okay, I think we're going to go head up higher to the zero line and then head lower, possibly a downtrend here. On the RSI, I still think we're going to get into overbought territory. We didn't quite hit the 70, just underneath, and I think we're going to get overbought and even possibly get a negative divergence here in the RSI before cycling back down to the other end. So right now we're just holding the 50 line. So we're back to neutral. Okay, if you're interpreting what's happening, each indicator you have to interpret. Okay, so this got us to almost overbought situations, and now pull back to neutral, and now it has to hold this 50 line to head higher, make a higher low. Slow stoke. This is starting to curl down, so we want to see this hold on to some sort of higher low after this. We don't want to see this cycle back through here. If this starts cycling fully down here, then we're in that other scenario where I think we make a higher low, but in this box. All right, so we want to see this cycle up here and hold some sort of pattern up here. DMARC. All right, DMARC, we're hitting a 4. Do we hit a 9? That's what we're looking for, a 9 count exhaustion on here. It doesn't have to, but that makes a great setup when it does. And if it does. Awesome oscillator. Same thing, just getting stronger. It's getting stronger and stronger. Stronger. And then the zero line. Okay, we're looking for it to cycle up to the zero line, possibly even whipsaw above it. Just like on the bullish end, it was in bullish territory, whipsaw to the downside for a quick bearish move here, and then got back into the bullish territory. I think that's a possible scenario here as well. And then we'll go over to SPY to continue our analysis. All right, taking a look at SPY. We have our divergences board on here, so we're going to put up the money flow index. All right, we're going to look for this to cycle higher into the overbought territory. That should give us a nice deep retracement here from 590 all the way to 600 is our target. Okay, that brings us right in the middle of this range here. It's actually pretty typical for that to happen when you get back into a range. All right, and then we'll look for some negative divergence at some point up here. It doesn't have to. It can spike up there and continue lower, but in the oversold situation. But we'll see if we can get a divergence. It just makes for a better setup. Bollinger Band, same thing. The RSI, we have it at the 5 here, and we're looking for that to cycle all the way up into oversold or overbought territory, but into the upper end of the Bollinger Band. That will be a setup, okay? And it could spike through, can hold up through, but we're at the bottom end right now. If price were to get there right now, it's 590, and if it were to spike through, you have 600 there, and then I suspect we'll be in an overbought territory into the top of the Bollinger Band. That's a sell signal. All right, and so very similar to here. Broke down, spiked through the Bollinger Band, oversold, buy signal. All right, let's pull over to the next board here. This is the same thing. We just had this we had this breakdown here into our support area, former consolidation, pulled back out of it, broke out from the downtrend line, back tested that downtrend line, and came right to the top of this support. All right, just making a higher low here. All right, digging in a little bit deeper. So it doesn't really matter how you look at this. We have our A, B here, and this is a perfect setup for a 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 wave move, however high it goes. All right, don't look at my arrow and say, oh, he pointed up to 600, so that's where he's going. Our game plan is to make it to 590 and start layering into some puts. And if price happens to go up higher, which will have some call protection in the near term, then so be it. Then we add on to our puts. Okay, so I'm looking at it that way, but then you can also look at this as an A, B, C. For an A, we're pulling back for a B, and then we have our C, where it might just look like a straight line heading up, okay? So that might be the 5 wave move for the C going into early next week. All right, so it doesn't really matter how you count it. The whole point is we're looking at these higher levels to be hit. Target 1, 582. Target 2, 590. Target 3, 600. Now, time and price, we have Friday, and then we have early next week from Monday to Wednesday here is a nice little cluster. Again, each day I point out, at the end of the video, you'll see the bear market analysis, 2025 bear market. I think this goes into 2026, where we'll find a low into June. That brings us about 18 months into a recession. I think we'll be looking for a low around that time. All right, so check out that analysis, and this kind of gives you a guide on where I think each level hits and why I think those levels are. So I'll pin that up top as well. Let's go to QQQ. All right, on a simple traditional technical analysis, we had our consolidation area. We broke out from it. We back tested. This thing should rip. Okay, this is a beautiful setup. We should rip up to 504. Okay, and there's other levels, but 504 is our lowest level. We have great resistance, support, resistance. I think we'll make it up there first. And again, if price goes a little bit higher, we have 512. There are higher targets. but those are the two main ones. And that 512 brings us right to this consolidation area. We haven't moved this box. We haven't changed a thing. Okay, so that's great resistance where we once broke out from, and we're looking forward to backtest before heading lower. SMH, now this is really the only market that has changed a thing. Okay, we're gonna have to watch NVIDIA, but we can't get back into this megaphone area. Maybe the market starts heading higher, but SMH just happens to be relatively weaker, and we only backtest again before heading lower. That's a possible scenario. But if it does break back above 2029 or 229, then the next stop here, and probably the final, would be 239 there, and that matches up with NVIDIA. So if NVIDIA can make a new near-term high, then we'll see this make a new high as well, and I think we'll head over to the 239 area. IWM. Okay, still holding above that excellent support area here. Just make it a higher low. Looks very similar to the rest of the markets. Our first target will be 212, and the next will be about, with the downtrend line happening, could see about 214-ish, depending on when we get there. DIA, holding on to the support area. This again, this is relatively stronger. I think we still make it up to about 433. VIX. Okay, so VIX on this time frame, it's very important that we show the MAs on this as well. So just inverse of what was happening with SPY. We held on to the 200 moving average, but the momentum is down, and we're being rejected off of that 8 EMA. That's our momentum indicator. And I think that we make new lows into about April 1st here. So that would be Tuesday, turnaround Tuesday, but that zone, okay? And we do have some timing brackets here for that zone to for VIX to make a low. And so we're looking at about 16 to 15 area for this to make a low. All right, SPY 65. Taking a look at the traditional technical analysis. Okay, we had our our bullish falling wedge, broke out of it, and we had also a geometric line here with a touch here, 2, 3, and so there's 3, so it's a valid trend line, and we rejected off of it first, broke out from it on Monday, and now we're back testing. But in an overall look here, you can say, well, this continued bear flag. All right, maybe we fill out the bear flag a little bit more up to our zones, but I think ultimately it's going to stretch past the top of this bear flag. Okay, now if this bear flag continues to hold into, let's call it 582 to 589, you know, our retracement targets. Let's see where time and price is, but look at this 582. We're gonna have to be careful there because that's the top. That will be the top of the flag. Well, depending on when we get there, right? So 582 is about right here. So closing the gap, and with this 200 moving average, we'll probably get right to it. So we're going to have to be careful at that point, because just thinking ahead, if this is A, B, C for an A, and then we get our B here, and I'll show you different looks. Then we get our B here, like I have it labeled right now. What if this is just a 5-wave move? You get the 1, 2. You see how we got the wick today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into C, and this is it. just a very small move, but we hold this bear flag the whole way up. That's a risk right there. Okay, I do still think we're going to make it to 589, but I'm considering, as doing this analysis right now, if this bear flag still holds perfectly, that we're probably just filling out that bear flag to the 50%. And we'll see where the other indicators are at that time. Okay, and if it doesn't stop at this 200 moving average, I think we'll put on some protection at that point, or maybe even start layering into, we'll find out in the Discord real time, but maybe we'll even start layering into our long-term puts at the 50%. Okay, so we get above this 582 and that bear flag starts to break out instead of down, then we're going to possibly be a fake break, and then we'll possibly hit our later targets. So not an easy play. It's not going to be easy, but we're going to have to make this determination real time. So are we in time and price when we get to the 50%? We'll see. All right, anything else on this one? Yes, so let's go to our moving averages real quick. So looking at the moving averages, we're holding on to the 50 and the 100, and we're starting to we got to get back above the 8 and the 20. All right, the options tender. Okay, so far for the MACD, we're still in bullish territory. So we're seeing some weakness. We're starting to curl. We'll possibly just back testing the zero line to head higher. So here is a good point. Now, when we start getting that 582 zone, when we start getting to that point in the 200 moving average, are we going to get a negative divergence here on the MACD? Same thing. RSI, do we just make a lower high and we have a negative divergence, or even in this move up here, do we make some sort of negative divergence? We're going to have to really pay attention when we get to 582. Same thing. We already had our buy signal today on the slow stoke, and this is cycling to the upper end. If this continues to oscillate up here, then we're probably going to the higher targets. Okay, sorry, I had to pause again here. Our washing machine's right on the back wall of where the computer is, so you can hear the spin cycle. So, if you're not doing this analysis, you're probably guessing which direction things are going. I don't think things are going to fall out of bed. We've already hit the upper end of the options expected move, so it's highly improbable that we'll make it to the lower edge. We've already made it to midpoint here, back to midpoint, and I think this is going to continue higher. If you're looking for a trade into tomorrow, I think this is a good setup for a 582, maybe even close the gap trade into tomorrow, and possibly Monday if you want to be more conservative. But it's what happens after this that's going to be a big question mark. Okay, so is this a 1, 2, 3, and it continues higher out of the bear flag, and then 4, 5, or is this an A, B, and we're just looking for a smaller resolution here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and all of this is complete. Bear flag breaks down. That looks pretty. I mean, I'm really keeping an eye on this. And so, by the way, I'm not closing this gap here. We came about $1 from closing it. The close was 564.19, and we only made it down to 564.94. So 80 cents left over for the gap there. Okay, where are we now? Get back to the DMARC. DMARC got a 9 count buy signal. All right, the exhaustion to the downside got the buy signal there. That's fantastic. So again, this is a great setup to the upside. For that exhaustion, we had that 13 count at the top. We had the 9 count here, went a little bit higher, and then resolved into a correction. Fantastic. I love those calls when it works out like that. Okay, awesome oscillator made a new high here. So now, again, we're going to pay attention to when we get up to this level. Are we making a lower high here? Negative divergence, just like this. We're keeping an eye on it. We may have to throw some puts on when we get up to this level. That's what I'm kind of queuing at here. Okay, let's go through the other indices and get you through this video. Make sure you watch his videos at about 1.25 or 1.5 speed so you can get all of this information quickly. And you can watch more videos. Okay, made it back. We closed this gap for the Qs. Made it back to the midpoint. I suspect we'll resolve higher. And we'll keep an eye on both flags here. Okay? You have 2 flags that are forming on the Qs and SPY. So again, do we get up here and reject off of this gap? That would be about 498, or, you know, depending on where we get there, 500. That's such a shallow move that makes me very skeptical on this. Okay, so after looking at SPY, that looked really pretty, but this makes me skeptical on this move here, where it's much more shallow. So again, we'll just have to be super careful. Is this an A, B, and this is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? So we have this count on here already. Okay, now again, this can be the A up here, where this was an ABC into a larger degree A. We got our B in, and then we're looking for just a simple 5-wave move up to whatever level, the 382, 500. I can't, you know, we can't predict what's going to happen. We're going to have to react off of it. But right now I'm keeping this on here because I think we're going to hit higher levels, especially if we break out from that bear flag to the upside. Then that is a fake break and will continue. It'll break that pattern, and then you'll have a lot of shorts covering. SMH. SMH just here possibly. Again, this could be an impulse wave and we just make a lower high and continue. But if NVIDIA makes a new high here, then all this was an A, B, C for flat pattern, expanding flat, and then a C wave. So if you see strength, and you won't get, we're at the lower end of the options expected move, just like NVIDIA is. We're probably not going to make it to the upper end. So this would probably have to resolve into Monday or Tuesday if this is going to make a new high. IWM. Just another look at it. Made the upper end. This is still relatively more bullish. We close this gap here. I think that we hold this pattern and continue to hit up higher, possibly 214, 215. DIA. Relatively stronger, hit the upper end. I think we break out here. And even if we're a lot more bullish for the rotation into the small gaps while maybe the diamonds break down from a bear flag, that could happen too. So I'm not playing this. Again, this is just like a counterbalance for me. When everything starts lining up in the same direction, that's when I play them all. But not right now. Everything's so quirky because we're in a correction. Now the VIX, we talked about yesterday how important that 19, even if we break out from this wedge. Okay, so we're going to have to keep an eye on this, because this could simply be, and let me just work it off of this line here. So we had a good connection here. And so I can make this into, let me get on that and redraw it as a channel. And possibly continue lower off of this. So we'll have this up here. So a touch there. We just made it there. But 19, if horizontal lines are so much better in my opinion, 19, if we break above there, then something else is happening. And I think we're going to start breaking down in the market as well. Okay, so 19 is our level to look out for in the VIX. Otherwise, I think it's coming all the way down to 16 and 15 zone. Possibly even to close one or two of these gaps. Okay. All right, you guys, that's it. Don't forget to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you can get these videos when they come out, especially if you're a member. You just want to know when they come out. They're typically around noon to 2 p.m. when I make them. But hit that notification so that it lets you know. All right, thanks a lot. We'll talk to you tomorrow.